All right, now we're going to do the radishes. I think it's one of the more exciting retouches that I'm going to show you. Working with a background that we did earlier. We made the sort of the Oxford grungy, looked like an old painting background. Well, let me blow this up a little bit. This is the image. We're going to drop that onto our gray background. So, a little more of a challenge to cut out my subject, but really not, because Photoshop is so amazing. We're in a great age of photography and retouching. I just get so excited about all this stuff. So, the first thing I got to find is my images. So this is number 5490. So I got to go over here. Whoops, I'm opening iTunes. Crying out loud. We're going to find, this is the easiest way for me to find this. What did I say, 5490? We'll go to images and let's see where the, okay, so that's on my card 4. Otherwise I'd go through every single card. Go to raw. You're going to scroll down to 50. What did I say? 5490, 55, 54. Here it is, 5490. There is the, let's open this up a little bit bigger for you. There is the middle, left, and right. Okay? So I'll hold down the shift, select all 3 of those, Command R, takes me to raw, converter, and bridge. We did this before, but I'm going to show it again. Command A, select all, right click on the option, or no, sorry, Control, right click. If you don't want to do right click, if you go down here, oh no, that's not it. It used to have a little diamond, there it is. Not diamond, but three little dots is basically the shortcut for them to go in here. So merge to panorama. I always do my right click, control right click. The term right click is referring to the holding the control down. Okay, so there is my stitched image. We'll say merge, and everything's a little crooked, a little sloppy, I think. I hit merge. What happened? Okay, we're going to call this one, we'll just say test again on this. Test into the master class DNG, saves as a DNG, that's a digital negative. Oh, that's so amazing. Okay, so let's go up to the very top up here, basic mode. We're going to take the highlights down. We're going to fix that anyways. That this porcelain scale is a little bit hot, but let's open the shadows up. Polar whites just a little bit because we don't go too far. I think blacks are fine. Texture, just a tad texture. What does dehaze do? We'll just do just a fraction dehaze. Then we go over here to my color mixer, luminance. Let's see what the orange does. A little bit there. Let's go yellow. That pops the, we'll pop the leaves a little bit on the radishes there. Let's take our red. There we go. That lightens up the radishes a little bit. All right, I think that's pretty good. We're going to hit open. And then it will bring it over to Photoshop. And we'll start to make the magic happen. I've got my Wacom pen and tablet. You don't have to, obviously, but I'm used to doing that. Big files, because 45 megapixels is not completely ×3, but it's about a little over 2, maybe 2.25. So 100 megapixels at least capture or file. It's a pretty big file. And let's take the first thing we're going to do is the tray here is crooked. So we're going to go And I've got my scales set up. So if you go to Window, View, Rulers. You want rulers on. You grab and pull down, and you can get a straight horizontal line there. Let's take a look at my bottom horizontal there too. That's a little crooked too. So what I'm going to do is Command A, Command T. It's free transform. So we're going to start by just leveling the whole horizon out first. Hit, well, no, actually I'm going to leave it there because now I'm going to go right click and go to warp. And we're going to pull down that, push it up just a little bit. So that gives me a straighter scale and horizon. Say enter. And to get rid of those lines now, just Command colon takes rid of that. Okay, so now let's go, we're going to do square on this. So let's go to my crop tool, selection, we're going to go down to square, and let's move the scale into the center. It's about right there. And we're going to hit return. So I want to save that little bit, so let's go to my stamp tool, and we're going to go and option, click, oh, I got to be 100%. And we're just going to fill in that area there. Do the same. We did this on the pairs. This is a little easier. Let's blow it up. A little easier here. So we're going to click on my line, hold it down, and stamp a couple times. I'm going to fix those in a minute. Well, let's do it now because it's keeping me. That was on my spot healing brush. Just get rid of these lines. One of the things that I do, and I've had photographers stand over me as I've retouched, and one of the things that they have said later that they were very surprised about is how many little things that I take out of something, like, because my eye goes to this, my eye goes to something, and I don't like that. I want the force perspective of these lines, but the beat up lines that I put when I built this thing, this table, don't like it. So it's just anything that distracts my eye, I'm going to fix. And so when I'm doing a landscape or a portrait and I look at my backgrounds, I take out little things that distract my eye. So I think it's the cleaning up of an image that is so important. Now, if I hadn't beat this thing up so much, I wouldn't have to do this. Maybe the table you're going to use is from an old antique store or something that you might have to do this too also. All right, so we're going to go along here. Now, I've got my spot healing brush. Let's see if this fixes it. Sometimes it'll kind of partially do it. Oh, that worked. We'll go right to that line. See if it does it. Yeah, it works. All these little shortcuts to speed up your retouch. All right, so let's go smaller here. It's getting pretty good. Now it is a little darker up in here. We tried to fix that by moving my light around a little bit. What we could do is let's go to my stamp at 30-ish, 25, something like that. And we make sure it's soft. Yep. And I might just clean that up a little bit. We're going to have a texture over it, so it doesn't really matter, but let's just clean that up a little bit. Okay, horizon's good, everything's good. Let's go get our background. Oh, wait, before we do that, let's get our mask. So we're going to go over to my quick select, enhanced edge is on, select subject, see what happens. Beautiful. Now, I can go over here and click the mask and it'll give me a mask. I don't care about down here, but I might have a couple little issues here, so I'm going to go over here to quick select mask, which I can always do later too. I've got it set to the overlay. Let's zoom in here, and I want to just take the second brush down, which is the refined edge, and I'm just going to see if I see a little gray there. Let's see if we can fix that. There's a gray right there. That did not get picked up. Where else? Everything else looks good there. Come on. Looks good there. I see a little gray right here. And I follow along here. Looks good. Little section there. Little section here. Good enough. All right, so now we go down here and say select and add a mask. So we hit OK. So let's go down. We're going to hit the Shift key and just deactivate that mask for a second. So let's go get our backdrop, which is over in my missions. There it is. Double click it. It should just go over here to Photoshop. And it's the mask that we made earlier. The V key down. We're going to come over here and just drop her in there. So we're going to go Command T, and this we want the background to match there. That's pretty good. I don't care about the top and bottom yet. So what blending mode are we going to use? Probably overlay. Soft light overlay. Okay. We're going to take the mask and pull it up to the top and invert it. Command I. And it's still activated, so let's say deactivate. So the background's kind of dark right now, but that's okay. And I got to fix my mask down here. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's make a levels on there. So we go to adjustment levels. And we are going to clip it, so we're going to hold down the option and toggle between the two layers and click, and now I have a levels that is tied to that background. Let's open that up just a little bit there. Okay. And then we're going to unhook the little chain and we're going to bring it down. And so I have a horizon line on the back of the roof there. I don't want that horizon line to go right through these two little eyelets and the center of my scale thing. That to me doesn't work. So I'm going to pull it up to right about there. Let's see what happens. And I've got this little tower behind here that's not right, but we'll fix that in a second. So that looks pretty good. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to do. Second thing is we're going to click on the mask. We're going to go over here to my brush, black brush, 100%. And we're going to finish off. Let's blow this up just a little bit. The mask, we don't want this background is connecting on the table. So we click on the outside of it, tap, tap, and then we just paint out this. It actually doesn't look bad on there because I'm going to darken it anyways, but normally I don't do that. I take and clean that up. So now it's behind the table. Okay, now we're going to go and on the layer, just above this layer, we're going to go to levels like we did before, the gradient, and the linear. Okay, hold the Shift key down, pull up, and we're going to go past in because we're going to fix it, but we're going to go into the background a little bit. And then invert that, Command I. Hit my little, I call it a crown, but it shows, it brings up my properties. And we're going to pull down. So that, what we're going to do is probably go about there. And then I might do one more, like I did with the pairs. And we're going to come from the bottom up a little bit here. Invert the mask. And I can see where I did not completely clone the edge here. Whoops, am I on the right one? Yeah, clone, go 100%. A little sloppy there. I couldn't see that. Now when it's dark, you can see it. Okay, still a little dark overall. We're going to fix that. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's lighten the background just a little bit more. We're going to bring this up just a little bit more, just a tad. And then we'll probably add a vignette over the whole thing here in a minute. Okay. So, the one thing I didn't like is this scale is a little too, it's about 50 years old, but it looks a little too clean, too new. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out over here and I'm going to find, this is the flypaper.com, and I'm going to find something here. I think it was this one right here. Okay, so it's got a little bit of crackly on it. Okay, we're gonna hit the V key, pick it up, just drop it over the top here. And we might go a little smaller on it. I don't know. Just need to cover the scale. So now, I want to find a blending mode that's going to fit there. My guess is multiply, darken, and we can hold back the opacity here in a minute, but yep, it's not bad there. That's a linear light, but I think multiply, except it does this really strange, let's try that for a second, multiply. Now obviously we don't want it that let's blow it up. I want to see texture on this porcelain. So there's off, on. Okay, we're going to make a mask, so we go down here and click mask and fill it with black. So Command I, and then we take a white brush, 100%, and we are going to paint in what I need to show up here. And we can take and desaturate it if it's too warm. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I can bleed it into that white metal a little bit there. All right, so I think it needs a little contrast. So we're going to go to levels, where again, option, clip it, and we're going to build some contrast in there. Looks pretty good. And it's a little too warm for me, so we're going to go to hue saturation, clip it again, and then we're going to pull back the reds a little bit and the yellow. Now that looks like it's an old, cracked screen. Okay, we did that. That looks pretty darn good. So let's see, we're going to now take and let's do a vignette because I want to see what that's going to look like. So levels, we're going to go to my gradient, my circular, we'll pull it dead center. And we'll invert it because I had the wrong foreground color, so we got to go click this again, and now we're going to pull that down just a little bit. So that centers you into it. Background might still be a little dark, so we're going to go back to my background. And let's pull my background up just a little bit. And we haven't taken out that little tower yet. So what we'll do there is we're going to, let's just take out everything, but let's hold the shift on the mask and then come over here to my spot healing brush. Come on, click on there, spot healing brush. And we're going to take out that tower. And there was a little spot there. I'm going to take that out. So let's bring everything back. And the brush. That's looking pretty good. Now, because my gradient, my gray wasn't perfect in terms of its exposure, I now can fix that a little bit. So I'm on the circular, or the vignette that I had, and I'm going to take a white brush, and I'm going to go to, let's say, 30% or so. So I'm on that mask. And now I can just bring back white, no, I want black, sorry, X. We'll flip it to black. I want to bring back the detail to match kind of over here. So let's just pull that back. And maybe I pull just a little bit of the detail underneath here a little bit back. So it's just basically I'm adding to that mask a little bit. And I'm feathering it. Okay, looks pretty good. All right, I think we got that. That looks pretty good. So let's take a look at the black and white layer with my luminosity. So let's go to black and white. And then we're going to set the blending mode to luminosity. Now we get to go and play with my colors, my tones. So let's take a look at the yellow. That brightens up the leaves a little bit. Let's see what the radishes do here. We want, I would say, again, because I'm colorblind, I don't think I want to go too much on the red there. Let's take a look at our greens. Not a lot. Blue. Nope. But really what that did is it popped that. And I think the radishes look pretty intense there. I might even, because this is how I do it, we're going to go master down 15-ish, reds down a little bit, and whoops, and yellows. Hopefully I didn't go too far on that. I can always take a look at it. Yeah, I probably did go a little too far. So let's go back on the yellows a little bit here. I think the master, I went way too far. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to hit the tab, gets rid of my background, the palettes and stuff. And let's take a look at this on black. That helps me kind of see if I got any mistakes. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to go back to tab. Let's undo that hue saturation. I think I went too far on the hue saturation, to be honest with you. Again, I'd have to take a look at that. What I might do, as I said before, I might click on the main layer, come over here to my spot healing brush, and I might just look at anything. Like, for example, let's go bracket keys down. Some of these might be a little too much for me. They distract my eye. I don't want to clean it up to where it looks like it's new. But if it looks like a goober, I might take it out. We'll still leave it kind of rustic there. And then everything looks good up here. Maybe I'll take that out right there. My eye kind of, whoops. Just trying to clone that. See, all of a sudden now it starts to go mush. So let's go back up. Command Z a few times. What happens is, if you ever do spot healing brush and it starts to turn to mush, it's trying to clone on top of something, and it just doesn't. So then that's when I go to my spot healing brush, or my stamp tool, and then I'll just stamp it out. Takes a little more work, but it was trying to work too hard on that. Okay, that helps, I think, my eye a little bit, cleans it up. Well, what I normally do on this is I will play, come on, let's pull this down. It will not pull down. There it goes. I will play with the values. So I've often said this, and you know it because a lot of times you retouch something and then you wake up, you go to sleep, wake up the next morning and you go, boy, that's too dark, or that's too light, or boy, did I do something, you know. So you can get it kind of get your eye off it for a little bit, come back. It doesn't take it overnight, but sometimes I take a break. So I'm sure that, let's go back to my original. Let's see how close we were. It definitely, I feel like the original is a little snappier all the way around. And I think what I did, let's see if I did this. Let's go back to this one. Let's go get rid of the hue saturation. Let's go Shift, Option, Command E. Make a snapshot. No, not down there. I was in the wrong spot. Go all the way to the top. Shift, Option, Command E. Gives a snapshot. And then what I did, I think, was I go over to Filter. I go to Raw, Camera Raw Filter. And I have built a grungy little, I guess you'd call it like a detail extractor kind of thing. And let's go load it. And let's see, I call it the Harley Grunge. Harley Grunge. Boy, I don't even see it in here. Camera Raw. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there it is, Harley Grunge. Load it. So, let's see if it did anything, because this is a brand new bridge. Did it save my settings? Let's go to Basic. So it's building a contrast, and actually I want to go this direction with the texture. A little bit. Okay, so now we hit OK. Let's see what that does. We can turn it on and off to see. But basically, if you have Luminar there's a bunch of little snappy, little grungy settings. Nick is where I originally had it, a detail extractor. Let's see what that did. So on, off. Gave a little bit of snap. I think it just needed that, but let's go back to our original here. It's a little more saturated, so I didn't take as much desaturation out. Well, whew, I hope that gives you an idea how I do that by applying the actual background texture, not just a sort of like a wall texture, but a actual scene dropping it in. The only thing, I just noticed this. Let's go back here. The one thing I noticed is I blurred, just slightly blurred this background because the depth of field goes off. I forgot to mention that. So what I did was Command J gives me 2, so I can still have my same one, or I can use a smart object to do this too. But anyways, I'm going to apply just a slight blur. I totally forgot about this. Let's see what it does here. 16%. Oh, I still have my snapshot up there. Cancel. Let's get this snapshot off. Okay, we're going to give a little bit of blur. So Gaussian blur. And I think that last time I did it was around 16%, so we're going to say okay. So now let me take, I can't take that. I was going to say, I'm going to show you before and after. So there's before and after. Before and after. So there's a little softer. So I think the softness kind of goes with the depth of field. You may not notice that, your viewer may not notice that, but I think that finishes off a little bit. If you want that texture, really, I'm not really sure. I'm not trying to make this scale look like it's sitting necessarily in a window with this background in the background. It's just that background is an option of putting and making it distressed like an old painting. So I think I have to kind of think through what the end result is that I want with that background. When we did the pear, I just had the canvas, like a little, it's just texture. This is an actual image. I like the images. I like doing that. I think it's really kind of a fun thing to do. It's just I got to think through, and when I'm shooting it, I might want to think about, do I want my depth of field to go all the way through to the edge of the table and then continue on to a sharp background? If not, then I have to soften that background. I guess that's my point. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go next, and we're going to show you how to put it together, some of the images to create a grid for you to either make a print or put them on the wall. Just a real quick little thing. People have emailed me and said, how do you do your grids? And so it's not difficult. And I'm not by any means a master on what's the right grid to do, but I'll show you a couple options, and that should be close to us finishing off the retouch side of this master class. I'm hoping you're having fun doing this. I am. So let's move on to that next retouch, and we'll continue